group, you obviously have to be, to take your Sunday afternoon to come to hear what it is that I may be saying about what it is to be one of the people that we call statistas, narcista, narcisse, o este o na heshete, na wo statisia ma mo miha habo heaven of hewa, ikie amen tisis hitzel. What I've said is that I am one of the Cheyenne. I am a Cheyenne woman. My name is the woman who comes to offer prayer. And my ancestors lived here in what we now know to be the state of Kansas a long time ago. We have been on a road that we have walked since the dawn of creation. We have our own views of how the world came into existence and how Mount Hill made this world. And what a lovely, compassionate, and beautiful earth he placed us upon to walk a road of life. We look at life as a road or a path upon which we all journey with all of those that have ever walked or who will ever come to live on this earth. It is a road that has its challenges. It has its road that it is a road that I'm very familiar with in terms of what it is to be one of those hearted alike people, which is the rough equivalent translation of statistas, which is a variation of the form statistas, which means those alike. In this case, in terms of our creation account, which really form the basis of our view of the world, that we are one of the people hearted alike, or the hearted alike people, the people with like hearts, the people that have the same view of the world, that think with the heart as well as with the mind, a compassionate people who were placed in this wonderful, compassionate world to walk that road of life. This road of life is cyclical and really is nothing more than the boundaries of this earth as we know it. But it extends way beyond that to include everything in this boundless universe that Mahil, the great one, made when he was creating all life. So everything we do, everything we think in terms of beginnings go far back in time. You begin at the beginning. You began when life was pure. Life was sacred, when it was most holy. And we would look at this world in which we live as maybe one would view this church, a place that is very sacred, a place that is holy, a place that one reverences, a place that one respects. And when Mahil was making this world and created earth, and so let this earth be known as our grandmother, Ishkimhan, in our ceremonial language. Just in terms of everyday language. He said, but let this earth be known as Ishkimhan. Let it be known for the woman that holds up this earth. the most beautiful of everything that was brought into existence. As the people hearted alike, we love this land to which we are very closely attached. Land or earth. Land that gives us life. Land that supports our feet. Land that provides us with all of the resources that we need with which to live. Land. So if you understand our view of this great and wonderful earth or land, as we might call it, then you can understand how we wanted to keep it, how we wanted to maintain our hunting grounds, how we wanted our children to know and to love this good earth, how we wanted to keep it holy because that was where we had buried our ancestors. Made holy because places on this earth are their final resting places. And so we were placed on this land, on this earth, to walk through life. A journey that we have been individually taking since the beginning of time. A road that we have walked, a road with which our thinking is governed by being one of the hearted-alike people, governed by being able to think not just with the mind and solely with the mind, but being able to think with the heart. The kind of thinking that results in compassionate, loving, respectful people who want nothing more than to have peace, to be at peace. The same way that we want it today as the citizens of this great nation, this great democracy. Peace. And so we're placed on this road, and we have our own history, which for us is divided into very quickly 4 different time periods. The first of those time periods being called the ancient time, the time that we live far to the north and the east of where we currently live. Our elders say it was someplace perhaps in that broad area between the Great Lakes and Hudson's Bay in Canada. That is where our elders say that we lived in the ancient time. And at that time we were hunters and gatherers. But some great big epidemic struck the village, and as our elders say, left many orphans. And so they left to live in a different place, those that lived in that time. Because they knew how to live in concert with their environment. They knew that they should not remain in a place where they were going to encounter what we call pandemics today. Where there were going to be diseases that left many of them orphan. So they left and walked toward and into the marshlands of the Great Lakes. And before then went their very giant part wolf dogs that they had tamed. And they wandered and they walked. And some of them faced starvation. Most of them, all of them. And so they had to resort to eating those animals. Those hotni, hodamia, those wolf dogs. Even today in our ceremonies, the highest form of offerings that a sun dancer can make is to offer oeshtis hodam, the dog. That has gotten translated to very stereotypically into phrases such as mitter, dog eaters. But you have to understand how at a time, a very critical period in our time, that we had to resort to eating them. Otherwise, we might not have lived. There might not have been Cheyennes today. I might not be here. There would be no language that we know as Cheyenne. And so they wandered into that second period of history, the time of the dogs. And then they entered into a third period, the time of the buffalo. They lived in earth lodge villages and moved further south and east. And they were agriculturists, and they raised corns, beans, and squash, and other food items. And they would venture out into the interior and kill those huge bison and take them back to their villages. And one time they came back and all of their seed corn was gone. It had been stolen by some enemy tribes. And so they abandoned that kind of lifestyle and became and entered into that third period of history, the time of the buffalo. And of course we know that the technical name for a buffalo is bison, but we're the buffalo people, the Sundaya, who were visited by one of our two great prophets, who brought us the sacred buffalo hunt, or the Sundaya buffalo people, the Sundance people. And we wandered out further and further into the plains and finally came yet to another animal that we had been told about by another one of our great prophets called Sweet Medicine. Both erect horns and Sweet Medicine had been sent to us by Micaiah to help us survive. They came to us at a critical time again in our history when we were facing starvation and extinction. Sweet Medicine brought us our most holy of medicine bundles, the arrow bundle. 4 arrows, and they have to do with our male ceremony, and as a female, I can't really say much more than that. But those 4 arrows are the greatest resource that we have as a peoples today against starvation and extinction. They are renewed every year. They are kept by the Cheyennes who live on the southern plains of Oklahoma. The other medicine bundle is kept in the north by our kinspeople, the northern Cheyennes, so that when we separated, a group each took our holy covenants, as they are oftentimes referred to, with them when they divided and split as a peoples. And those arrows were carried north after the Sand Creek Massacre by the dog soldiers and those who said, we are going to exact our revenge for the atrocities that occurred along Sand Creek in Colorado Territory under the leadership of a man who was, and I don't know if you can ever not be, a Methodist clergyman. We sit in his church today. John Milton Shellington, who committed such atrocities, savage acts against the most peaceable of all Cheyennes, the band of Black Kettle, Mohdadidog. George Bent, who has written a book was edited from his letters, said that Black Kettle and his people were the most peaceable of all Cheyennes. That was the camp in which my late great-grandmother, Homaiwasta, white buffalo woman, traveled. Black Kettle was the chief of the Watapia band, those who eat with the Sioux, a band, one of the 10 bands of Cheyennes that is made up of a mixture of, we call them Sioux, that could be Lakota, Dakota, or Nakota, who had married into the Cheyenne people. Their chief was Black Kettle Sukda chief, a peaceful man, a man who has been recognized in history as the greatest of all Cheyenne peace chiefs. That traditional government established by sweet medicine, who had been taught within the sacred mountain that we call Noakus, the hill that teaches, the hill that gives, the hill in which all of the spirit powers of the world assembled to teach sweet medicine all that it was that he was to come out to teach us in terms of being Cheyenne. And when he came out, he was preceded by one of the 4 spirit powers of the world that sit at the 4 directions of the universe that we still honor today and show respect to. When our men smoke their pipe, they make their offerings to those spirit powers that sit in the southeast, the southwest, the northwest, the northeast, above and down to earth. Women do not smoke the pipe in that way, but what they do is to be able to take a newborn baby and using that baby's body as the men handle the pipe, making life ever so sacred, they can take it and point that baby's head to those spirit powers that were placed in their homes in those 4 semi-cardinal directions of the universe. After my head said, now I reach the point where I have created life, and you must help me watch over it. And he sent one to the northeast, the second one to the northwest. I can't keep my directions straight today. Let's start. Okay, everything starts here with one's right hand. Southeast, southwest, northwest, northeast, above and down. Ceremonially, that's the motion that we follow. Life begins in the east and advances around this earth circle. I told you this earth is a circle. And we advance from being small children in the white phase of life also that first sacred power that was placed in that direction. He said, and white will be your color, the color of new life, new beginnings, the springtime of one's life. And at that period of one's life when all of you and even me were little babies, we lived in the white time of our life, when life was new. And we stayed in that period of life for about 12 years, give or take, not really set in concrete. And it's just we're expected to be little children. You weren't expected to understand life, but you were exposed to all of life about you. To language, to the customs, to our belief systems, to what it all means to be Cheyenne, to just live among the people. Secure in the knowledge that what you gain had been passed on to generations upon generations of Cheyennes before you. We have lived long on this earth. We will continue to live. I've been blessed by a long life. The 22nd of this month, I'm going to turn 79. And my grandchildren accompanied me. My son drove me up. Oh, he's got powerful ponies. A pony herd that is all concentrated under the hood of that Dodge Ram. Many ponies. And we had a good time coming up. A different kind of pony than it was that my great-grandmother rode. But still a horse. That fourth period of history that we entered into when Sweet Medicine said, you will find this animal. He said it will have a long tail, it will have a long mane, and it will have big eyes. And it will be a very restive animal, and you will get on that animal with my arrows, and from that point on, you will never be still, you will never be quiet. You will want to travel here and travel there on those animals. He said, and you will want to travel into the blue vision, meaning the blue shadow distances. And we did that. But we still live in the time of that horse. Today we talk about horsepower. I don't know what we're going to, if there's going to be a fifth period of history. If it is, then there's going to be another name given to that. But suffice it to say that we have experienced 4 periods of history. And so we came to that horse, as Sweet Medicine said, and they said, well, for now, you'll continue to live life. You'll advance out of the age of infancy and being children in that white phase of life when you don't have to understand anything, into the red phase of life, from about the age 13 to 19 or so. He said that's when the young people will be taught by their elders, where they will be educated, where they are filled with life, where their color is red, the same color of that spirit power that sits in the north-southwest direction of the universe. It's the color of blood, the color of earth, the color of earth. And that's when you'll be educated. That's when you will learn. And then you will advance into the next phase of life. And that's adulthood, and that's a very long period of life from about age 19 or 20 on to 65 or so. adulthood, the time to do, the time to perpetuate your ceremonial life, to learn your ceremonial ways, to marry, to have families, to become grandparents, to do, to protect the people. And then you'll be at that point of life under the protective powers of that spirit power that sits at the northwest corner of the universe. And then you will enter into that fourth age, that fourth period when you will become elders, characterized as the age of wisdom. I hope I get some soon, but so many of you already have. And so that color is going to be black or blue. The age of wisdom. It can be death. Is the time when there is a complete cessation of hostilities. It is a time of peace. The fourth age of life. And so if you go back for a minute and retrace that journey when you were babies, you were like a fragile young plant that had to be nurtured and nourished by your parents because you could be very easily uprooted, and for us, culturally uprooted. And then you advanced into that time to be young people, to experience what it is to be a youth. And you become like a supple young willow where you are able to be bent and shaped by the teachings of your elders. And then you enter into the time of adulthood, and I would say probably most of you in this place of worship are in the time of adulthood. You're like a strong cottonwood tree that gives shelter and protection to the people. And then when you reach where I am, you become like a dried cottonwood branch who can be thrown into the fire of life. Teachings to warm the heart of the people. We were given those life ways when Mael put us on this earth. We're further reinforced when we were visited by the two prophets, and especially Sweet Medicine, who came to organize our council of 44 peace chiefs, our traditional government, and our warrior societies. The most well-known of them, the dog soldiers, the Hodamia. And how he gave us our law ways. He said, you will not lie, you will not cheat, you will not marry relatives, and neither will you commit intra-tribal murder. And if anyone comes into your camp, you will welcome them, particularly you as chiefs. You will welcome them into your lodge. You will feed them. You will give them of your best to eat. You will protect them. Those are the ways of life by which we live, still live today. Sweet Medicine said there will come a time in your lives when there will be some strangers that you will meet toward the sunrise by the big river, the Mahohet, the Mississippi River. And these strangers will change your ways. And these strangers will want your land. And these strangers will want your children. And those that they take to educate will not know who they are as Cheyennes. And he told us this after he had lived with us. It is said, for 4 long lives of a person. There are some that say 445 years. Some say, oh no, 446. Whatever. 4 long lives of a person. He taught us those things that all of those spirit powers of the world had taught him within Bear Pit. Where all of those spirit powers of the world had assembled to teach him what it is to be Cheyennes. And to have this love of the earth and of the land, and through our ceremonies to renew that land and that earth. We still do that every year. And there are those that say that we keep the earth alive through our ceremonies. Not just those of us as Cheyennes, but other nations. We continue to do that. We have never forgotten what it is to pray, because that's how we pray, through our ceremonies and in our ceremonies. We still have our sun dancers. My son has completed his 4 years of sun dancing, and before that, he danced some 7 years with our kinspeople in the Lakota. I too have gone into our lodge, and I too am one of that long line of ceremonial women. And once we go into that lodge, we come out and we're grandmothers. Don't matter what age, we're grandmothers. We're grandmothers to everybody that is. And Sweet Medicine said, I don't really want to tell you about these strangers that you're going to meet, because they will change your life. And we didn't want to believe him either. And indeed, about 1680, we met them for the first time. Some say around Peoria, Illinois. And life did change after that. And there were so many that came before them, just as Sweet Medicine said. Either they will come and they will keep coming. And there will be so many of them that you cannot stand before them. They will keep coming. And they will want this earth and this land. And they'll take it. And so they did, first through treaties, initially. Through the Treaty of Fort Laramie, the Treaty of Fort Wise, and of course, Black Kettle's a chief, a man of peace. One of the Council of 44 Peace Chiefs signed him. He was the strongest advocate for peace that we as the Cheyenne people have ever had. And according to the Fort Laramie Treaty, we reserve for ourselves huge land areas that straddle the states of Wyoming, Nebraska, Colorado, and Kansas. The entire Rocky Mountain front of Colorado. Let's see. And then in 1861, because Black Kettle wanted to be at peace with those strangers who had come to live among us, he signed the Treaty of Fort Wise. And of course, the dog soldiers were not happy with him at all for giving up the bulk of our lands that straddle those 4 states. The dog soldiers were not happy with him at all. And then into this, the date of 1864, which Dr. Oliver, I'm sure, is going to visit with you more about, Sand Creek, where Black Kettle and his people were attacked with such savagery. My great-grandmother, whom I always thought was there, as was another great-grandmother whose name was Pfister. And Pfister was wounded at Sand Creek. White Buffalo Woman was not wounded, and they survived. Both of them survived. The dog soldiers were not at all pleased with what had happened there. And they carried our arrows north with them. And they raided at Julesburg. Now remember, there are those that say we're nothing but those savage, barbaric fiends out to kill every wagon, every person, and every wagon train that's coming its way across Kansas, Colorado. There's a flip side to it. We were guaranteed those lands according to treaty. And those that came across the Santa Fe Trail were violating and intruding and trespassing upon our territory. What else do you expect? Unfortunately. Stop and think what you would do if someone broke into your home. Trespass on your property. Maybe you would not have dealt with it in such extreme measures, but it's our lands. And we're still walking the road of life. And we still are governed by our value systems. And put a great deal of emphasis upon love and respect, compassion, understanding, generosity. But we have to understand. And ultimately there comes that day, I'm sure, of reconciliation and understanding. I've done my bit. I've had to forgive. And my way of forgiveness was to help write a book, the Native American Comprehensive Plan for the United Methodist Church. I was that person from a spiritual community that rode along with the clergy from the Methodist Church, a book called Spirit Walk. And I got to go as a delegate to the International Convention of the Methodist People in Tampa, Florida, a couple of years ago when our book was introduced. That was my way of trying to deal with this whole aspect of reconciliation, repentance, and the like. And so there was Sand Creek, and then shortly after that, in 1865, the Treaty of Little Arkansas. And we were supposed to receive some kind of remuneration for the atrocities at Sand Creek, but I believe the United States Senate took that clause out of that treaty. And finally, the final treaty that we entered into with the United States of America as sovereign nations, the treaty negotiated at Medicine Lodge Creek. Black Kettle again signed that treaty. He was so steadfast in being a peace advocate that it resulted in some of the more, then we have some. The other protectors in the tribe saying, how can you still want to be at peace with these people? But he saw that as the only way. So we signed the Medicine Lodge Treaty again, along with Little Rock. And Little Rock was the brother of my great-grandmother, White Buffalo woman. There must have been a considerable age difference between the two of them. Little Ribbon of the Arapaho signed. My son's great-grandfather. And in 1868, almost 4 years to the day after Sand Creek, then we had the battle, or the massacre of the Washita, after we had signed our last treaty. And in those 4 treaties, within a span of about 40 years, we had given up virtually the bulk of our lands. This land that was, in terms of our creation account, so beautiful, that we were to keep alive through our ceremonies, still do, was God. Through the justified bond, the 19th century philosophy of manifest destiny and cultural imperialism. Fortunately, we survived. There are those of us that live in Oklahoma. There are those of us that live in Montana. There are those that have relocated to urban sprawl of America, but they're still Cheyennes. We still maintain our responsibility to earth and all life. We go to ceremony, we pray for all people. Histagmil. Histagmil means every person in this world. One means all of the 4-legged relatives, those that crawl, those that fly. We pray for Histagmil and one. Hawaiians and Mahonet, we pray for that grows from the earth. And for Maya and Munstall, celestial bodies, the wind, the sun, the thunder, the water. We're really having to pray hard today in terms of where we are if we stop to think about global warming and climate change. But we still have that responsibility to earth. That was a sacred promise that we made to Mahil when we were given life on this earth, to walk through life. So I'm still walking, as is my son, as are my grandchildren. And you too are walking. And all I know that we ever want for each other, and I want for you, is good health, long life, happiness, and peace. Nothing more, nothing less. That's the road I have to walk. That's the road that we as Cheyennes walk. And I want to thank you today for inviting me to share a few of my words with you, a little of my worldview, and to help me understand what happened in that time that you are looking at in terms of the Indian wars, or maybe we say the war with the Indians. Now, dahil namin sila na makahon in that sige, I thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to introduce her son Alden is at the back, if you would stand. Her grandchildren, Mark, Aaron, Mariah, and Paige are all here today. And we take a few questions because I'm sure you have some. So.
Thank you, Dr. Mann, for speaking. I didn't get the color that you said was the adulthood. I got the white, red,
Yellow.
yellow, okay, and then...
I'm sorry, I left that out.
And
You're yellow. It's a symbol of perfection. It's the time to do.
I knew it was the time.
We cherish, although we love red and blue or black, we cherish yellow.
My other question was, I didn't get the name of the other prophet. I just got the name of Sweet Memory.
You got sweet medicine and you
Sweet
have
medicine.
erect horns.
Pardon?
Erect horns.
Erect.
Or standing up horns, whatever. It's a sacred buffalo cat and the horns stood up. So there are those that call them erect horns, horns that stand up straight.
Thank you.
Thank you for filling me in terms of my oversight.
What other nations were your enemies? Not the white man, but other Indian tribes or what were your enemies? Did you have other?
There were certainly are differences with the Pawnee. They had taken our arrows, they captured our arrows. They still have two of them. I like to say that I've got good friends that are Pawnee, but there are those kinds of enmities that exist. The Utes were the Arikara because they took our corn. But beyond that, if there were intrusions upon hunting territory, but the Pawnees were the ones that I think that we had a great deal of differences with because they took our covenant. They took our arrows, they still have to.
May I ask one more? You referred to the dog show soldiers. Did other tribes have their quote-unquote renegades also, or were they renegades, were they a fraternity? What were the dog soldiers, the Cheyenne dog soldiers?
I don't know that I would call them renegades. They might have become renegades after Sand Creek, after you understand conceptually what happened at Sand Creek and what happened to the Cheyennes. They were incensed by the butchery and the savagery that occurred. Yes.
But within
They
your-
were wanting to exact revenge.
Yeah, but within
Black
your-
Kettle tried to advise against it. There are other groups that have their warrior societies that are just as brave, and the dog soldiers were not always out just fighting. They were the rear guard. They wanted to make sure, and they were the protectors. They were the ones that were very brave, very courageous, who in battle sometimes stake themselves to the death. And so that we do have warrior societies. They were not created so much for war as they were to, as protectors. My son is a member of the Bowstring Society. They build the lodges for our ceremonies. They gather the timber, they're the protectors, they're the providers in a very traditional sense. There was a separation between civil and military powers. So I think what we have to keep in mind is whereas there might be that contingent, our rulers were the peace chiefs, 44 of them. And we were a people that were more oriented toward maintaining the peace than we were wanting to be at war. It did occur, differences created, situations created certain attitudes.
There are 30,000 Cheyenne in Denver, and there are Cheyenne, the northern Cheyenne in Montana. How's it going for you in Montana? What's the modern Cheyenne, their circumstance?
Okay, I did not understand your question, please.
The circumstances for the modern Cheyenne in Montana. Montana. Longview.
We got modern Cheyenne in Oklahoma too.
Yes.
Okay. I like to think I'm a modern Cheyenne, but no, I'm just playing for time. I gotta see what one comes out of my mind and my mouth. Okay, you have to remember that the Cheyennes numbered 10 bands, and we only came together during our great ceremonies. And after our ceremonies, the Sundance, the arrow renewal, they used to have an crazy animal dance. And we went on a communal buffalo hunt together, and then we went to our traditional winter camping grounds after those ceremonies. And so we didn't all stay together because we were very environmentally conscious that, if we were all together, you can imagine the pony herd and the effect upon the environment. And so there were some of those bands that traded in the south. There were those that continued to do their trading in the north along the Missouri River. And then treaties came along, and so it was continued trade activity for some who had formalized their relationship with the Bent brothers, and one of the Bent brothers had married into the Cheyenne tribe, and so there were those that said, we're going to trade on the Arkansas. And then the treaties that were entered into, so it was the treaties that separated us into northern groups and southern groups, and so after we negotiated a few treaties, we were the ones that were pushed into Indian territory, and the northern Cheyennes continued to stay out. And some of them were brought to live with us in Oklahoma, and they're the ones that walked back north. And ultimately, those that walked back north said they were accustomed to living in what they call their beloved Northland. They wanted to live in the mountainous climates where they could smell the pine trees and the like, and so they couldn't live in the south with us. And you know that brave march of that less than 300 who managed to get from Indian Territory back north, only to have some report into or be taken to Fort Robinson and others go out to the Nebraska Sandhills. So that more or less divided us into two, a northern segment and a southern segment.
Dr. Mann, our group has been reading Little Big Man. Would you just say a couple of words of what you think about Little Big Man, the book and the movie?
Do you think that he really survived to be at the Battle of the Greasy Grass? No, I think it's a wonderful story to tell. I like the old chief. But I think what I saw was this whole capacity that we have to make relatives. And see how Chief Washskins adopted him as grandson? And they had quite a wonderful relationship as grandparents to the grandson. And I think it was more or less a commentary, just like Little Big Man said. You know, my grandpa, or Chief Washkin's version of war was real different from the way that the soldiers fought war, because Chief Washskins and them were, much more into going and counting coup on the enemy rather than slaying them. So it's really, I guess, a commentary from the eyes of a non-Indian who was adopted into a Cheyenne family, and he talked about the cultural differences and the difference in cultural views. And I really like that classic statement whenever. And there was a time when our elders were so spiritually strong that they could will their deaths essentially, or go off to die. And whenever Chief Washkins went up on the hill and lay down to die, and the rain dropped on his face, and he said, "Grandson, am I still in this world?" And Justin Huffman said, "Yes, grandfather, you still are." And he says, "Well, okay, let's get up and go and eat." He said, "Sometimes the magic works and sometimes it doesn't." Sometimes it works that way, doesn't it? And so I think that it's easy to understand. It's not as graphic as other history books are. It's a good read for those that are just wanting to venture in and look at another people's culture. Maybe a little bit Hollywood-ish, but still.
Okay, thank you very much.